Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen. And we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day, to help us all get focused on what's going right in the world.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, did your internet break right before you recorded a podcast-worthy podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 8th of February, 2022. So, yeah, this is the third time we are trying to record today's podcast. Time number 1, my internet went out right before. Time number 2, Ariel and Kristy actually recorded an amazing podcast. However, it didn't record Ariel's voice.
Yeah, so hopefully it won't be too canned here because this will be our third rehearsal.
So yeah, time number 3. So what we are working with here at the Optimist Daily is learning how to be more flexible in times of stress and change and challenge. And I've had kind of a crazy, stressful change challenge week that I'm coming out of. So, you know.
Yeah, and you're finally understanding why people move to California for the weather.
Yes. And this was the first birthday I've had not living in California. And I was over the weekend looking at pictures of my friends on the beach, wishing I could have been back on the beach as opposed to dealing with ice and plumbing and all of the things that my family got to endure and enjoy this past week. I have to say there was a certain amount of levity to it. You know, I have to express extreme gratitude to the Optimist Daily team because on Wednesday, mid-afternoon, I sent Kristy an emergency message and said, the sky is falling. Literally, I mean, ice is falling. And I don't know what the next 48 hours will be like. Cut to my husband being trapped and on his travel to try to get home. And anyway, so thank you to you and Carissa and Ariel for really knocking it out of the park on the podcast. That was a fantastic interview you guys did on Friday. Monday's pod was darling with you and Carissa, so it's good to be back. I missed you.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have you back. I missed you also, Summers, and I'm glad that you survived your isolation more than anything else, and that you had a great birthday.
I did.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I am 44 and proud to be solidly in my mid-40s at this point. And, you know, I have to say at various times in life, you know, birthdays come and go and you're either feeling like you like where you are in the world, but I am very grateful where I am in the world. I mean, not the cold part, but I'm very grateful for what I do professionally and for the team I work with and for my beautiful family. So all about gratitude for my birthday. How about you? How was your weekend? How were the last 5 days of your life, Kristy? Anything to report?
Last 5 days were great.
How'd the driver's license test go?
Oh, yes, there's that. Well, it didn't quite go, actually. Because we got to the DMV on Friday and their whole computer system had crashed 10 minutes before we got there for my son to take his test. And we waited around for about 30 minutes hoping it might come back on, but they're like, we have no idea when it'll start. And I couldn't even make a new appointment because the system was down. So we're going to go back either this Wednesday or Friday and try again. So delayed for a week.
Right.
Delayed for a week.
So a few weeks ago, you and I talked about what would be like one technology you couldn't live without. And you went super meta on me and chose light. But
electric light.
And I was like, okay, we got basic here. But truthfully, I think computers, we are so attached to them. We need them.
Well, the internet, I mean, your internet went out this morning and we were delayed in recording until now. And now you're on a hotspot or something, right? It's not even up yet.
Exactly. All right. So with all this stress, everyone is probably getting sick and exhausted and like we're all just under pressure. Kristy, are there any stories that maybe can like shift us into a different space?
Let's talk about healing and let's talk about preserving our sanity, which are both connected to each other, I believe. I'll talk about my story first. My headline reads, 3 ways to fire up the vagus nerve and boost your immune system. This is something that the entire world's been focused on in the last couple of years, more than ever. Just having immunity and having health and how important that is. And how do you preserve that? And while optimizing your immunity isn't necessarily easy, there is a scientifically backed way to set the stage, and that is firing up your vagus nerve system. The vagus nerve runs from the base of the brain through the neck, and it branches out in the chest all the way down to the abdomen. And in doing that, it touches almost every major organ. Long story short, stimulating this nerve system is very important, and it's key for helping to support immunity. One of the reasons it's not in this article, but it is something that I've learned through my research in this and how to keep your immunity high. Breathing through your nose is one of the reasons it's so important, is that it stimulates the vagus nerve.
So that's pranayama breathing, right? Prana breathing?
Well, any kind of breathing through your nose, but pranayama breathing, which is what you practice in yoga and other breathing kinds of techniques. Part of why it is so effective in lowering your stress levels and your heart rate and keeping you intact is that it stimulates the whole vagus nerve system, which stimulates that sympathetic, that relaxation feeling. And so this article is 3 ways that you can reignite that vagus nerve system and also boost your immunity. These tips come from Jeffrey Rediger, who's the Harvard medical director. So this is it's a medical doctor who's talking about this, even though it is definitely something that yogis know innately, right? But here's the 3 tips. First of all, relaxing your body and mind. When you're doing anything else, if you notice yourself just starting to get a little bit tense, or even if you're not aware of being tense, if you can just sit and just breathe through your nose is the best way, and do maybe a body scan, even if you're in traffic, you can lower your stress response and stimulate that vagus nerve. Those 2 go hand in hand, and it's worth it. Even just having a little bit of gratitude, as you were expressing earlier, Summers, just having that gratitude practice, that's a key part in stimulating this particular nerve system. Creating genuine connections, making friends, being with people you care about, who care about you.
Even digitally.
Even digitally, it matters.
Yep.
But touch is a part of that too. So giving somebody a hug, laughing with your friends, all of these things stimulate oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. That also stimulates the vagus nerve system. What I would say is that this nerve system is like the link between the mind and the body. Connecting to other people is also connecting to yourself, but it boosts your immunity. It really does. And that's why some people are worried about all of this isolation, because it lowers immunity just by not being able to be around people we love and care about, and even making new friends.
Do they have to be human
No,
friends?
I don't think they do. I think,
I bet that my new puppy is boosting my oxytocin, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, because you've got the laughter, you've got the feeling of care, which, who is it? Allison, I don't know, there's some psychologist talking about how you love the things you take care of, that actually love comes from taking care of things. It's not the other way around. Anyway, yeah, so taking care of things can probably, making good connection. But having that genuineness, it's that it has to be something that really matters, where you get those oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin neurotransmitters. And then the final one, which might be surprising, is faith and prayer. It has the ability to stimulate the vagus nerve system if you really have a deep sense of connection. I think it's about having that sense of connection. If you are meditating or praying, you're feeling connected to something bigger than yourself, it actually stimulates that nerve system as well. So prayer can actually fire up the vagus nerve, as long as you embrace the power that it has. You can't just do it lightly or for malintent. Probably.
And oftentimes, meditation is a form of prayer. And many of our most advanced spiritual leaders of all different religious backgrounds practice meditation, because that is that alignment with other, greater, bigger, beyond. And so you can definitely see that prayer can be a pathway to that exact emotion, lifting that can come from it.
Right.
So that actually makes perfect sense. That's really interesting.
Right. Just keeping that in mind, as we're all worried about our immunity, being intentional about stimulating your vagus nerve, and bring that into your everyday little practices when you're doing the dishes. Be grateful for something. Yeah.
Grateful that you have hot running water to do dishes.
That's another technology you're probably very grateful for now, right?
Exactly. I'm grateful for hot water. I'm grateful for fire, if we're going to go real base on tech here. But you know what? I am also deeply grateful for medical advancements.
Oh, yeah. So what is that? What do you want to talk about today?
On faith, hope, health, and healing, my story today reads, Minima, or Minima therapy, could be a game changer for non-invasive cancer treatment. A brilliant group of researchers at University College London have figured out a novel way to actually use MRI scanners. MRI scanners are conventionally used as an essential tool in the detection of diseases and injury, but now this equipment could potentially be the key to actually destroying cancer tumors without the patient ever having to undergo open surgery. The research that this team has developed is a novel breakthrough cancer therapy called minimally invasive image-guided ablation, or Minima for short, and it has already been tested on mice. It involves ferromagnetic thermoseeds, which are 2-millimeter metal spheres that can be guided to a tumor via magnetic propulsion generated by an MRI scanner, and then heated remotely to kill whatever cancer cells in proximity.
When I was talking about this article with Ariel earlier today, she had the analogy of that magic trick where you have a magnet on the bottom of a table and you have something which is metal or magnetic on the top, and you can look like you're manipulating something just by waving your hand around or by your mental powers, when actually there's a magnet under the table which is moving it around. And so it's kind of similar to how this is working, where you've got the metal thermoseed which goes in and an MRI can drag it through your body to the place it needs to go to attack those cancer cells.
Right. And eradicating these tumors, in the mouse model, it's a combination of the heat and the magnetism, right? It's finding it,
right,
heating it up, and
blasting it away.
Yeah, exactly. One of the lead authors of this study, Rebecca Baker, in a press release shared that this could be beneficial to patients by reducing recovering times and minimizing the chance of side effects. If you think about it also from the standpoint of exploratory surgery or bigger cuts are really much harder to heal. Teeny tiny cuts can heal quickly. And it's almost like a laparoscopic version of cancer treatment.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And I guess it's particularly effective in places that you really don't want to open.
Right. Like the brain.
Yeah. Or the prostate.
Like the prostate, or exactly. Areas that, healing from that can be really difficult.
Yeah.
The team hopes to improve upon the current seed structures by making it so they can function as a tiny cutting knife that can be guided through tissue. So not just ablating, but also extracting. This could make it possible for surgeons to accomplish remotely controlled procedures, which would revolutionize non-invasive surgery. I am a huge fan of these medtech evolutions. They're the solutions at the Optimist Daily that we love. And I believe that a combination of firing up your vagus nerve system, faith, prayer, hope, meditation, good breathing, and magnetic resonance imaging can help keep us healthy and help keep us moving. Kristy, what other great stories do we have today?
Well, speaking of healthy and healthier, if you want healthier houseplants, try giving them names. That's one of our headlines.
Oh my gosh, mine all are named and I love them and I care for them.
But I think that that's actually an evergreen story that we're bringing back into our feeds for today.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Norway will add a gender-neutral pronoun to official Norwegian language. How to stop being so hard on yourself all the time. Another lifestyle story there. Insect-sized robots are tapping nature's wisdom for more efficient flight.
I love the tiny bug robot stories.
What else is on the Optimist Daily today?
Ecuador creates a new marine reserve north of the Galapagos archipelago. Google puts data privacy back into users' hands. The EV charging stations of the future are about the experience, not the wait. And Hawaii is the first U.S. state to enact a ban on shark fishing. That and much, much more is available, as always, on the Optimist Daily. Thank you all for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover the current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
And if you haven't already done so, please consider becoming an emissary on theoptimistdaily.com. Starting at just $5 a month, you can help support reader-funded, independent journalism. That is what we do. Keep us going, keep us finding new solutions, and be part of the solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Let's keep the Optimist Daily free for everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can. Thanks, everybody. That's it for today's podcast, and we'll be back tomorrow with more solutions.
Maybe, if the internet works. If we have light, if we have fire.
If the technology gods decide to say